Hey everybody, it's Bust with Expedition Trial number 228. First one of 2021. Good stuff, let's get to it. Okay. Alright, not like a super exciting set of champions. Again, I feel like we've been seeing this Terrace from the Deep Maokai in the beginning for quite a few trials, and it's just not a pool we want to start with. It's a very good supporting pool if you get it paired up with like a Callista or a Lucian or a Nocturne or even a Diana, but it does not play particularly well on its own. You can't just build around Maokai. So we can easily skip over that one. We're going to be either looking at Dragon's Descent Aurelion Soul or First to the Draw Twisted Fate. Both of these are pretty reasonable pulls. The Twisted Fate one, it either builds itself into a real one-drop centric card draw deck to where you're trying to start out with Pool Sharks and Fortune Croakers to draw a bunch of cards, and then get a super wide board and start hitting plunders with Black Market Merchant and Pilfered Goods. That's kind of deck number one. Deck number two just being the Sea Monsters deck. I like to build it with Jal Hunters as our Sea Monster of choice, and then not really play any actual sea monsters themselves. But it's all in all a pretty reasonable card pool. But I believe I do want to come in and take this Aurelion Soul. It's been a bit since we've drafted Aurelion Soul. This Dragon's Descent is the supposed to be the Dragon's version of the deck and not the Invoke version. But either way, this is a pretty good start with it. It's got what I consider to be this is quickly becoming one of my favorite pieces of top end in the game. I think Eclipse Dragon is still the best, but then Fused Firebrand fits in right behind. He's just so incredibly tough to deal with. Between having Fury, so it gets better after he wins a combat, and then having Spell Shield to stop our opponents from actually trying to remove it. Just, I don't like to have a ton of these, but it is extremely powerful. And then, of course, starting with Zenith Blade as well. A great way to close out games with the dragons. They tend to have problems with being able to actually crush through our opponent's board. You can block Fused Firebrand over and over and over again, but, need some help with the Overwhelm to get there in the end. But real quick, let's pull this up on the site. If you're not familiar with the site, it's ftpbus.com. It's where I keep all of my collection of expedition things. And so today we're going to be over in the expedition helpers section. We're just going to click on the little drop down box, click on Aurelion Soul, and then go to Dragon's Descent. And so with this, I mean, you can take it either way. It has all of the tools that you need to be a successful invoke deck, whether you want Behold the Infinite, Moondreamer, Spacey Sketcher on the bottom end. Like, you can get there with invokes. It just doesn't have the ones that we really like in the 3-cost ones. The Daybreak and the Nightfall invoke tend to be the big important ones, and then also if we're not using the cheap ones, if we're looking to go expensive, we want the healing one, whatever it's called. It costs 5 mana, heals something for 5, and then invokes something 7+ in cost. And so, really the ideal invoke cards don't live in this card pool. We're really looking at this as being more focused on dragons as opposed to being focused on invokes. So we do have a place to pivot, but we'd ideally not have to do that. And so either way, this deck does have extremely good late game. I should say this card pool, not specifically this deck, has extremely good late game. Aurelion Soul, obviously just the best late game champion in the game. The dragon theme really starts at 4 mana, but doesn't kick off until 5, so it takes a bit of time to get there. And then the invoke theme, of course, takes just a whole bunch of time to do, but it is the biggest set of value plays that you can make in the game. So this pool does really have the late game covered, but the two big problems with it is it doesn't have anything in the early game. As far as the Dragons deck goes, it does have Herald of Dragons, which is a super high roll-y kind of card. Very fantastic on turn 2 if you can play the Herald and then follow it up with a White Flame Protector or a Shyvana on 3, and then a 5-drop dragon on 4, you're probably just going to win that game every time. But it is a completely horrible card to say draw on turn 7, and so the high roll factor with this is pretty big. And then otherwise, this pool doesn't really have any early game to it. There's a Startled Stomper, and that's it. And so weakness number 1 with this card pool is there's no early game. Weakness number 2 is there's no removal or even any interaction within it. And so there's no sunbursts in this pool. There's no Spacey Trouble Bubble or whatever the Zoe removal spell is called. It's just nothing. This is just a big pile of units and defensive spells, and so you really have to be trying to go out of your way to find a Sunburst or even the Trouble Bubbles are find here. Just something to interact with our opponents, because there's not even a challenger unit that lives here. The easiest way to get removal spells with invokes is with the Daybreak one, since you can it only hits 4, 5s, and 6. You can typically find Meteor Showers or Obliterates pretty easily. That guy doesn't even live here. So it does take, quite a bit of work to find the interaction in the early game with this deck. It really just has the late game covered. But so we're taking here, we're heavily incentivized to just go in and take whatever the Demacia champion is, so that we can try to find the other half of the dragons. We ideally want to be finding a Shyvana here, but if we're looking to actually build towards dragons, the extremely important ones live in Demacia. We can pull up a Shyvana real quick to point out what I'm talking about. It's probably in Fists of the Dragon. Yeah, so the Egghead Researcher is extremely important early game. If where we're really going to be struggling is in the early game. We do want that thing that makes dragons cheaper. We do want Egghead Researchers, and then we do want Dragon Guard Lieutenants. And so what we tend to find out with the full Dragons deck is we have a whole bunch of 2-drops and then nothing at 1 and 3, which is fine, but we just kind of have to remember how we're going to pace our spells with, or pace out the game with our cards falling that way. But I wanted to call out, though, the rest of the dragon theme does live here with Shyvana, and Shyvana herself, the Egghead Researcher being the big unit, the Stalking Broodmother Screeching Dragon being a very fantastic interactive card. And so we don't have to go this route, but if we do want to build towards dragons, which we probably do, starting with Aurelion Soul Infused Firebrand, we kind of have to take the Demacia pack. We can roll the dice, take something else, and see if we can't just spike a Demacia card within the next 4 picks. That's a little high rolly for my tastes, but it's something we can do. And I would be willing to do it if these other packs were playing nicely, but Hecarim is not going to be particularly good here. We just don't have the early game plays to be doing the Blighted Caretaker. Neverglade Collector is a good unit, but our top end doesn't really need this kind of effect. This effect plays much better when we're playing a whole bunch of cheap early game cards and chunking in damage. Our opponent's board gets better than ours because they're playing a more mid-rangey style, and then we close out with the Collector. That's just not how these Dragons decks are ever paced throughout the games. And then over here with Raiding Party Sejuani, she does provide a bit of interaction, but that's kind of it. She doesn't add a whole lot of early game plays. We're never going to hit plunders with this kind of deck for Shared Spoils or the Spirit Walker, and so we can let this go. Although the Spirit Walker is moderately interesting with his flip ability, giving what should be all of our dragons Overwhelm. We can hopefully just find this ability with Zenith Blade. So we're going to take this Garen. He's a Demacian Steel Garen, and it's not going to play particularly well with what we're trying to do. But let's at least pull him up here real quick. This is the Elites deck, and so there is a chance that we want to pivot over to this Garen as opposed to building towards dragons, which is fine. And I would actually not even be upset with it if the only Targon cards we picked up the rest of the run were like a Zenith Blade. I think that could actually play pretty good here. But the thing that ends up happening with Garen, the strategy I typically recommend with him is you're looking for Vanguard Bannerman. It is a Allegiance card, so you want to be playing as much Demacia as you can. But this is like the big one. The big payoff for drafting these Garen pools is getting access to Vanguard Bannerman. After him, the next most important cards being... what is he? Battlesmith? There he goes. I keep wanting to call him Armorsmith and can't find it. Battlesmith boosting up your elites, and then the big one in reinforcements boosting up your elites. And so, this is the elites build around, and in a large part a full Demacia allegiance build around. And so we won't really be able to touch on the Targon side too much if this is where we end up pursuing. And so, these are kind of really kind of opposed themes. The either we can really heavily dive in on Demacia and try to go for Bannerman or Elites, or we can kind of pivot over to Garen, or pivot over to Aurelion Soul and try to go with Dragons. There are no Invokes in Demacia, and so we can't really find any synergies that direction either. So we're going to take the Garen, but this draft's like really going to come down to what happens like right at the beginning. If we see like a Vanguard Bannerman, then I'd be okay with going over to Garen. If we see a like a Battlesmith is kind of a big important one to be seeing here. This is probably just going to push us towards Elites. None of these cards really build towards any decks. Like, we just don't want Chain Vest. Behold the Infinite is extremely replaceable. If we're not playing Invokes, we don't even really want it. Down here, the Shield Bearer is a particularly good unit in the slow kind of style that we get here, just having a super good unit that just blanks out a combat for one turn and then trades a turn later, and giving our units Overwhelm is pretty good. But I think we're just going to go down the Elites route here, starting with the Battlesmith. Is just such a good build around, and really, if you're able to get these in multiples, it's just such an extremely powerful deck. And so with this in mind, we're gonna have to like really. I'll still allow ourselves like a pick to pivot out of this and just accept we have some bad cards in our deck, but it's gonna be pretty hard to do at this point. And then I don't really like picking up more than like 5 or 6 cards in the off faction, so that we can really take advantage of our Bannerman. And then this pack makes an appearance and just gives us absolutely no Demacia cards, which is brutal. This is a fairly brutal set of cards to have come up, because really just looking to take the Demacia pack every single time. And if we're not, taking Demacia, we want some kind of big payoff. And so we want another Zenith Blade, or we want one of the Dragon build-around cards. And these cards are just completely horrible. So we're definitely never taking Piltover. This doesn't build towards any of our themes, whether we're going to try to Dragon or try to do Elites, so we can easily skip this one. This card says Dragon on it, but it's not something that I really ought to be taking here. Like, if we had, gotten like real heavy into Dragons, then it's okay. You typically just have to look at this as a way to like hopefully draw Aurelion Soul, and so you never really play this until the late game anyway, so it's not like a particularly exciting card, and we're just going to be stuck with this Sunblessed Vigorous Sunforger. The Sunforger at least plays pretty well towards like either of the slow Aurelion Soul decks, but it's not going to be particularly exciting as far as Elites are concerned. And then the setup pack shows up with a second Battlesmith, and I'm gonna just try to go all in on this and move over to Elites. I would love to be able to pick up the Zenith Blade, because I think these are going to be pretty fantastic here, but we're just the payoff is just so big when these Elites hit, and especially picking up a second Battlesmith. I'm not going to let these go. That's close. I mean, I know that there's a lot of people in that space right there that would just pivot out of what we're doing and then take the Zenith Blade. I think that is probably a fairly safe route, but not a route that really helps push you up to 7 wins. So it's close. And then these packs have just been abysmal. Just having the Battlesmith show up in every synergy pack and then just no Demacia in the wild picks has been pretty savage, and so I'm at least going to take I think out of all of these, the cards I want the most is Pale Cascade. I don't know if we just need to accept that we have a couple Battlesmiths in our deck, or just quit pushing towards it. I'm hoping that the way that this kind of goes is we have like 6 or 7 just like shit tier cards in here, but then the game is kind of figured out we're trying to do Elites, and then we just like trade into things that are okay. And I think that should be reasonably possible, but this is like we're just not in a place to where it's like, well, we can't. We could kind of pivot to Dragons, and I think we probably just have to take this White Flame Protector, but Pale Cascade is the card we're actually wanting. So this is tough. Let's at least take the Dragon, and hopefully we'll get some ways to kind of course correct here. So here I do want to take the Elites pack. I still think the game hasn't played nicely, but I still think that we can salvage this with a good Elites deck. These Battlesmiths are extremely powerful, so we need to take the Elites here. Okay, and then at least an opportunity to pick up more Zenith Blades. We don't have any bannermen yet, so we don't have to, you know, like live and die between being like full Demacia. But it does kind of scare me that to go out of our way to do these. But I'm going to take the Zenith Blade here, and I think the Ibex will be the better choice. We shouldn't run into too many situations to where we actually need this lifesteal, and then giving our units overwhelm can be a pretty powerful tool. Okay, I'm not excited about all these Vanguard cavalries that we've managed to acquire, but we aren't passing on reinforcements, so this is a fairly easy take. What do we have here? Well, I think, you know, I guess you know, we have to accept that we're never going to be a Bannerman deck at this point. But the Mountain Goat Pale Cascade are just an extremely powerful set of cards, and ones we're ultimately pretty happy to be taking. I guess we shouldn't say like ultimately pretty happy, because we still want to just convert this into elites, but we'll make it work. We'll make it happen. Here we'll just take our third Zenith Blade. These Demacian Steel cards are just too bad. We don't want Confront. We already have one on guard, which should be enough for that kind of interaction. Okay. Well, at least these are Demacia cards, I guess. They're almost like having elites. But here I just want the Fleet Feather Tracker, just a way to interact with our opponent. Because we, again, don't have any removal spells up to this point. Okay, alright, well here's some more elites. I think we're still good to take these. I mean, the Battlesmith and the reinforcements are extremely good here, and so the Vanguard Defender is one of the more important early game units that we can have. It's very easy just to get a whole big pile of late game in here, but the early game is where we need to, you know, kind of really build our decks toward. With this, I think I'm okay with the second On Guard and another Elite. We can skip over the Blessing of Targon. The Stellacorn's trash. The Blinding Assault Badger Bear do play better towards our curve, but I do want to pick up the Elite, and then we should be able to get some good usage out of these On Guards. The meaty half of our deck is pretty good with these. Like, between all of these rando dragons that we have and Vanguard Cavalries, I should easily be able to foresee us getting like a 3-for-0 or a 3-for-1 out of the On Guard. Okay, how do we course correct? Okay with picking up Ravoon. He's a good piece of late game. It's not a deck that really hurts for late game, but I really wish we could trade like On Guard for Vanguard Redeemer, but I'm not getting rid of Succession, I don't think. This is just like ultimately very powerful. If, you know, we only have one drop, and so it's very easy to play on turn 2. And then these Demacia decks tend to stack up real heavily at 3 mana between the Vanguard Redeemers and the guy that makes 4 Demacias, and then things like who is a like Vanguard Squire costing 1 less mana. There's just like a whole big pile of 3 drops in Demacia, and being able to play Succession on turn 2 is pretty good. And so I think I'm just actually going to go ahead and skip over all of these. This isn't a deck that needs Ravoon. Our top end is good enough between these Vanguard Cavalry's reinforcements and Aurelion Soul. So let's just go ahead and skip over all of these. So let's see. If you're not familiar with the way these trials have been going, we also have to go and make one of these cards all shiny and pretty. And so let's just go and upgrade these Zenith Blades. I don't believe I've upgraded these yet, and so that's going to be our key to this run. So where are we at? Collection cards. I'm pretty sure I haven't upgraded these yet. Yeah. Don't even own 3 of them. Embarrassing. Okay, let's get to it. This deck did not come together well, but I think we just got to get some few traits in here. If we can just kind of get rid of the dragons, or the expensive dragons, I should say, and then pick some early game up, I think we'll be fine. Here I would assume this is a base Lucian deck. I mean, it could be a Grand Plaza kind of deck. That's what scares me seeing Thresh now. I think this probably will end up being a Grand Plaza deck. But with these, let's look for some early game. We can get rid of all of this. Not quite what we were looking for. I'm okay to just pass here. The shield bearer should be able to blank any plays that this guy makes. Um, this is kind of scary. I want to add Battlesmith, but if he has a spell as a unit here, that's pretty bad for us.
Where you go, I go. Yield or perish.
Okay. Just do nothing. Okay. Let's see what he adds to the board before we decide what units we want to play, because he's gonna be able to hook kill anything that he wants. Fortunately, none of those are elites. Let's just go ahead and let this combat happen real quick. And then I want to add a Swiftwing Lancer and then just try to open kill Lucian. Didn't even attack with Lucian. Interesting. Sure. We're gonna live and die by the Bannerman this game. Okay.
Abomination.
Cool. Okay, things are panning out reasonably. I do just want to add Defender, Bannerman, and then play Reinforcements next turn. I think that'll be okay. Can't quite get any of these out of his unit's range, so let's let him do combat first, and if he sends it back to us with the Grand Plaza up and not actually using anything, then I feel like that's a win for us.
No.
Cythria. Interesting. Let's actually add her.
Soldiers, to me! To the field!
Of his units will interact particularly well with what we're putting together here. Right. Can't directly contest Cythria. These are all going to be, a 4/4 at worst, still trades, or just outright wins combat against what he has. This should be pretty good for us. Okay, cool.
I'll turn the tide!
I mean, if he has like a riposte to take down Cythria, this sucks, but this has us in a pretty good spot, especially against a dude that has 4 Demacia in his hand. Having him go super wide would not be particularly appealing.
I protect my own.
Cool. This Doom Beast doesn't win the combat down here because our guy has tough. I don't think he realized that was going to happen. But this is fine. Like, we don't really care about his flipped Thresh. The big thing we care about here is what would happen if he played 4 Demacia and just went murder mode on our board. This is fine if his play is to Thresh hook Cythria. Okay, this is all still good.
Enough.
Any last words? I own you. Take my helmet.
I gladly serve.
Okay, then I think we're good to just start becoming the dragon deck. I guess the other thing here is I want to play Aurelion Soul next turn, but I also want to play Zenith Blade. So I only want to play 8 mana of cards. And so if we're going to switch and do that, let's do this. Let's get White Flame Protector, Solari Shield Bearer. Oh, hang on, I mathed that wrong. Okay, so we just want Zenith Blade? Is that how we're gonna go about this? That'll be okay. We can just add Aurelion Soul. We did pick up a combat trick though. Okay. You're gonna have to wait Aurelion Soul. You're a turn or two away from being spectacular. So we want to add a 2. And then we want to play Vanguard Bannerman. We were pretty much coin flipping on hitting this. Now it looks like we're a little lighter on
Safeguard our citizens.
Whatever that faction is. Okay, that seems pretty reasonable. Now we can add Aurelion Soul if he's not going to be doing anything and have access to Pale Cascade. Beautiful, beautiful. I think we just have to take the Great Beyond. It's the safer choice here.
I created it.
Good chance that he's not going to flip next turn. Okay. Alright, well we have to block. And then what is the I guess, you know, it really comes down to is the Fused Firebrand's all we can really save. This combat trick isn't particularly good anywhere else. But I mean, it's still pretty good. We have a Aurelion Soul on the board. He just spent his 4 Demacia. He's going to have a real tough time chunking in any kind of damage. I think we're pretty okay here now. Could just Supernova. I think the key should just be getting our Aurelion Soul flipped. So we just need to add 7 attack to the board, which the Great Beyond does easily.
Aren't you handsome?
Should be pretty tough with him for him to interact with this stuff. Everything we have has Spell Shield, so we should be able to get this Aurelion Soul to flip next turn. Okay.
Wonder at my creations.
And the Serpent, always free.
Love an audience.
Alrighty, that should probably do it.
Our ancestors are watching.
Oh, we already played a card, so he's not going to have the ability.
Side by side, into battle.
We will not hesitate.
Met with steel.
Alrighty, I think we're good now.
Injustice.
Got him. Okay, and so it's tough. I'm not really sure what we end up wanting to take here. I don't really like stacking Garens, but that might be what it takes to actually get our deck in the place we want it to be. And it has a Bannerman. Oh, it's such a good Garen. Okay. I mean, this is a pretty decent Aurelion Soul, having just Demacia cards in it, but this Garen should help us get to where we want. You know, we're just kind of, you know, coin flipping with these Bannermen, but if we can, say, pick up another Demacia champion at round 3, and then if we're able to trade out like 4 Targon cards for Demacia cards, then these Bannermen are a lot more likely to hit. And I still really want to be on this Elites path. I really have a good feeling about this, just Elites with Zenith Blades. Of course, at this stage of the trial, we're not going to be able to get that exactly where we want it, but I still feel like this should be pretty good. Oof. Alright, well. Hope y'all are enjoying I guess this is the day after New Year's Day. You shouldn't be hungover anymore. If you are, welcome to your 30s. the glorious 2-day hangover. It's brutal. 22 years old. Drink way too much. Wake up the next day, feel completely fine. 32 years old, drink way too much. Be hungover the next 2 days. Enjoy it. Enjoy it once you get there. Okay, these battlesmiths rolling. It would be cool if these Solari Sunforgers were just actual any elite in the game.
I don't make them for the show.
How dope would this draw be if these were challenger birds? I guess we should say double birds.
Magic has no place here.
If I didn't forge it, you won't want it.
Alright, and the decisions start. Can make, a 4-4, which should be decent against this guy. Everybody's playing the Grand Plazas today. Kind of want to hang on to these Sunforgers as just good blockers, and so, this isn't ideal, but 5-5 should be reasonably tough for this guy to deal with. They don't have a lot of meat to their decks. They have a big chunk of the kill your own units theme. And so I think they're going to have a lot of trouble dealing with things like Vanguard Squire. It is kind of scary if he has his set of double birds and can take down our battlesmiths, but otherwise I think this will be okay. Not super scared about this Thresh. Let's at least protect one of these with a Zenith Blade. I do believe I do want to just bank again. Let's do this. Let's Absolute Feather Tracker. Bank this 3. I want to open with Zenith Blade and then play Swiftwing Lancer to try to take down his Thresh. I don't remember what combat tricks this pool has, but I don't think there's a whole lot of them. What you got for us, friend? I'd love to see him just play like Vaults of Hellia. Just actual do nothing here. We can just murder his board. That would make me happy. Plaza, sure. So if he plays like no cards here, what's our big worry? Like back to back would be the actual worst thing that could happen to us. Okay. It's only seen one death. Alright, well, let's at least kill the rest of his board. Then we don't really have an answer to this Thresh, but are we willing to just try to throw a bunch of damage at it? Because that's probably the only way we're going to be able to deal with this thing. I don't like that. Let's just try to get a go wide plan going here. If he wants to like open on us, I feel like that's a win.
Petricite, protect me.
Let's at least protect this thing from a conservator, make him hook it with Thresh. We do have the Pale Cascade for this combat if that's what we need. But this Grand Plaza is going to be tough to beat. Really don't like the... I'm okay that this card exists.
For king and country.
I'm just not like super happy about it being so common in the format. So let's get the value out of our succession while we can. Right, when you're playing through and it's like, oh, you know, we have to play against Feel the Rush like, you know, once every 5 trials, fine. But when we're playing against Grand Plaza decks multiple times a trial, it's just such a high roll, and particularly not fun, if if I may say so myself.
Track them down.
Changing it all up. What do we got here? Is Thresh gonna flip? After combat. Okay, there's nothing we can do.
I fail.
I think, yeah, we just have to stick to this plan. We have to hope to be able to go wider than him. It's going to be tough to do, but...
Stay resolute.
it's a way to do it. And I guess at least also if we can keep our board, you know, kind of alive, then we can flip this Aurelion Soul. We do have a ton of stats on board. Is it ever okay to just pass? Kind of like it. He is gonna thresh up another. Be threshing up another Thresh. What happens here? He wants to be like playing his detain. If we attack with this thing, he's just gonna detain Garen. I don't like these attacks. Or actually, can maybe just lethally.
Charge!
Attack formation.
This is it!
Let's see how this goes. If he, you know, blocks our big boy and then tries to make a detain play down here, right? Because we aren't repping lethal just yet. I guess if he blocks like this, we are. Let's see if we can't get a detain play that will kill him. I think this will just have to be fine. Okay. Still happy with this. We can still get wider than him, and he loses his Garen here.
Today we turn the tide of war.
That's the only real unfortunate thing here is if, well, he can like attack with Thresh and bring up a Thresh, but we'll get a unit back out of the combat. Okay. Does have it in his hand? Why didn't that bring out a champion?
Side by side, into battle.
Does he ever have a rally here? Maybe we should have played one of these things first.
Arm yourselves with holy sunlight.
Take your place.
Tiana.
We've much to do.
Okay.
At once, my lady.
Onward to victory.
A noble end!
Alright, so I mean, we have the choice of 2 units or Aurelion Soul. I think we just add the Aurelion Soul. It's just going to be too tough for us to go wider than him.
Your favorite star. I created it.
Alright, I think we're getting there. Slowly but surely, I think we're getting there.
The Vanguard stand as one!
Okay. Surprised he didn't. Why didn't he play this next turn? These scouts are so good. Oh, and we hit a crescent strike.
My, how they stare.
Okay, okay, that seems good.
Cavalry, to the
How much units are
field!
we gonna lose? Okay. Is he gonna have another rally? No way. There's no way he has a second Tiana. He's really lining this up like he has a second Tiana, but
Call me Garen.
Our ancestors are watching.
the Aurelion Soul flipping would be pretty good.
At my creation!
Alright. This is not what I expected out of these elite stacks, just taking forever and flipping Aurelion Souls, but it is what it is sometimes. Oh, Living Legends. Oh, it's so sick. So sick when you have flipped Aurelion Soul on board.
Oh, I am good, aren't I?
I'm not going to play these other cards. I think, yeah, I was going to say, I can't imagine picking up 6 free Celestials is enough to lose the game, or not win the game if we haven't already won it.
You've been wonderful, as have I.
Okay, alright, well, so let's see. The big thing I'm looking here is we do want to continue to push our curve down, but we do also want to be trading out Targon for Demacia cards. We have one Bannerman. The chances of us finding more than one aren't zero. Should be a pretty decent chance. And then this unit here is actually an elite, so I'm gonna swap out the Ibex. We have 3 Zenith Blades already. This is not a super important ability, and it's just cheaper, right? It's an elite, it's cheaper. It's kind of everything we're looking for here. I hate saying that Vanguard Lookout is everything that we're looking for here, but, you know, it's Demacia, it's an elite, it's removing a Targon, and it's cheaper. And so that's you know, pretty positive for what our deck needs. Okay, the old battle scars. No Grand Plazas this game. Jeez. Interesting. I mean, we don't have like a whole lot of elites. This could be kind of greedy just to hang on to these. Let's get rid of everything. You just see the elites and it's like, ooh, I want these cheap units, but it's not exactly how that plays out. Let's just bank this mana. There's a good chance we're not going to have anything we want to boost up with this Challenger Bird. Let's just add in Succession. What you got for me, friend? Tall Tales, you got it.
For the
He's
fallen!
gonna have a Yeti next turn. Okay. And here, I'm just gonna bank and get this Zenith Blade mana. I guess it kind of depends on what he plays. If we want to Zenith Blade a Challenger Bird, then we not want to bank, but I don't think that's how this is going to go. I think we're just going to bank this mana, have our Zenith Blade kind of active at some point, and then just start trying to play dudes that can battle with this stuff.
Her light is our sword, her warmth our armor.
We've got these Yetis pretty well handled if we just cancel it with Sunforger, or if we get these 5/5 toughs online.
The reputation.
None of this seems particularly appealing for this guy. Okay.
I'd never keep my guests waiting.
Side by
All
side!
right, and this
into
should
battle.
just shut down his attack. If he if he planned on attacking before, after adding this Vladimir, I can't imagine he plans on attacking now. On guard. Okay.
In formation!
See if we can just get a huge punish here. We can still add Fleet Feather Tracker after the fact if we want to hit something else with On Guard. Which I think now that he's added this unit, pretty okay with that. Would like to see him spend a little bit more mana here, but seems pretty okay for us up to this point.
Make way for trolls! Radiant strikes! Cavalry, to the field! Taste my steel!
He has to have cards or it just ends with us having two dudes. I think he can probably win one of these. On Vladimir, that's fine.
Bright light! Huh? Take my helmet!
Okay, seems reasonable to me.
I learned my scars.
So eager to suffer.
Let's see how this goes. The thing that worries me here is getting hit with Nox and Guillotine. Otherwise, getting dudes on board and Zenith Blading everything seems pretty okay to me.
Do your worst!
So, Transfusion isn't particularly scary here. Brittle Steel, okay. Cool.
After all these centuries.
Not an exciting set of cards in our hand, but I think we'll have this game taken over pretty swiftly here. Two to everything? Okay.
Worthy of the Winter's Claw!
Probably the best Targon shield we could get this game. This is fine. We can take a hit from this thing. I'm gonna try to go wider than this. Or just just play leveled up Aurelion Souls. Oh fuck me. We're on Vladimir. At least these aren't overwhelmed champions.
Hello, my darling.
As I was talking about in the previous game, where it's just like, well, we can just play, Field of Rush once every 5 trials and just lose to it whenever it comes out. And this is being how the Grand Plaza feels. Ugh.
Have you met my shield?
You're not even gonna do this, right? Where you, of course, Sunforger over here, just gonna go, oh, I got Field of Rush. Let's just throw these cards out here in a poor fashion.
We should be friends.
Bottoms up.
Focus on me.
Okay. Oh man, it's a fun and interactive card right there.
My glory. You can count
All
on
right,
me.
well, we have to get stuff on board if we're just gonna try to play Aurelion Soul next turn.
My journey continues.
It is easy, see?
We should Zenith Blade. I don't quite. I guess it does matter. We can Zenith Blade. How's this gonna go? If we Zenith Blade Vanguard Squire can block here, can try and hook kill this thing at some point. Okay, I'm all right with this. The big thing is we just need to keep Aurelion Soul out of combat, and hope to like hit a supernova. No supernovas to be found. Let's just take the Scourge.
Hello, Runeterra. Let's rock.
At least give us a way if we can line these blocks up right.
Escapes my watch.
Surviving. Oh, we fucked this up anyways. We should have played Aurelion Soul and then just Zenith Bladed him so that he can't kill it with Braum.
Now they'll pay attention.
He's probably going to open on us now and
Dad.
take that away from us. That was a huge mistake.
Talking to. Good luck. Have fun.
Oh my goodness, he's going to let us get away with it.
Let it flow.
Right, so this is the big block.
Not on my watch.
You must be very important.
That gets us to 7. Okay.
Stay safe.
We have a ton of stats with 2 Scourges, and so I mean, we have ways out of this. We can take down both of his Field of Rush units with this double Scourge. He plays a whole bunch of little dudes, and we can, get these challenger kills as well.
It's just blood, darling.
Right? If we're attacking with, this is going to be 24.
War Mason, reporting for duty. Make the Empire proud.
Right? Because we'll have 12 Scourges, and then a big Aurelion Soul.
How marvelous.
I do love an audience.
Okay, let's just go for it.
Your face for you, Runeterra.
If he had to have had, if he had like a brittle steel, it would have had to have been the previous turn, right? So these are going to be, what is this, 25 minus 6? We hook the 2 smalls. I think we still just need to hook his big boys. He's going to have 12 health though.
To the stars.
Let me see what this looks like.
The cosmos will collapse eventually.
So if he puts 11... Yeah, I guess this is the easier way to see it with the Oracle. That's lethal, so we don't even have to attack with Aurelion Soul. But if we do attack with him, he's 12. Okay. Okay. Had no business winning that game, but at least our misplay wasn't as brutal as what our opponent's line was. Cool. Cool. All right, we beat the Grand Plaza twice and feel the rush once, so that makes me feel pretty good with how these are coming about. And so here we got our third Battlesmith with the Garen. This is fine, as long as we can. I think we're going to start to struggle as we start playing against better decks and better players, but our deck is in a pretty good spot if we can start cycling out whatever the trade picks give us into more elites. I think we'll be pretty good. Okay. But I have been pretty happy with the Zenith Blades here. I think I was pretty spot on with that. At least that piece of it, as poorly as a lot of this deck came together. I think Zenith Blade with these elites is pretty good. Found us that perfect match. There we go. Riven, Ezreal, Victor with 2 Rivens. Okay. Alright, let's find those early game plays. That's something. Kitty making noises.
Finally, some
By far the best little legend in the game. I know that's not the right word for it, but that's what we. It's at least a riot word for them. Little legends are what they use in Teamfight Tactics, is where I know that word from. I think they use it in like ARAMs and stuff as well. I don't know. I haven't played ARAM in quite a while. And
time for a true display of skill.
okay, well, we can at least protect. In my history of things with Riot, I played League for, I don't know, 6 months or so, and I found it to be too stressful, and so I had a lot of fun playing ARAMs though, and then
Can't stop me.
went and did other things and came back for Teamfight Tactics. Once the auto chess craze kicked off, I thought, well, we just didn't play as Mystic Shot. Interesting. Interesting indeed. All right, let's add this guy.
The strength of the sun and my faith are one.
Pretty happy to trade him for a Eager Apprentice plus a Mystic Shot.
Radiant strikes.
But yeah, once the auto chess craze kicked off, then the Teamfight Tactics was just much better than whatever Valve put out. They really mishandled whatever the I can't even remember the name of it. The Valve auto chess game.
If you could back it up. Ooh, that's gotta hurt.
I think actually, like, I'd gotten to the point with see here, and these aren't elites. I just want to get like wide here so that we can try and slam Bannerman that was inevitably just gonna miss. But I think we're okay to at least try to start threatening this Ezreal. But no, it was like I signed on to the
Charged.
whatever the Valve auto chess game was called, and then it was just like no one was there. It was the strangest thing. It was like it just didn't have any players. Double guillotine. Okay.
Bright light.
So is he just giving up on his Ezreal here? And then is Ezreal what we actually care about, or is Assembly Bot the problem? I think we probably just care about Ezreal. Alright, let's just contest his board. I feel like if we just grind this out for a little bit, we're going to have a much better late game than this guy. So I'm good to send Swiftwing Lancer into Ezreal. He's probably just going to get popped by a thermogenic beam, but kind of is what it is at this point. So he's going to be beam free.
Behold me!
Okay, I would not have recommended playing that there. And we know that our attack with this thing is safe. He's never going to want to block with Assembly Pot. Right? Ooh, and on guard. That could be juicy. Okay.
Claws out! I've licked my wounds too long! Unleash new potential!
This looks like it's going to be a lot of damage. I don't know if you all did the mathematics on this one, but this does look like a lot of damage. Okay.
Nailed it!
Okay, so I think the same thing still applies. Like, how do we get just the most units on the board with what we have in our hand? And it's it's not a whole lot coming down. At least I guess the thing here is we can add Shield Bearer. It can take down an Android. We can send this thing into like Assembly Bot, and then we can send Dragon into Ezreal. But I think our chances of winning this game are pretty slim, but you know, it's a way to go about it. I think the big question comes down to now is, do we just like open? I don't think so. We can get an well. Yeah, I don't like that. This is gonna be so brutal when he just plays a spell and survives this combat. Alright, but otherwise let's just be greedy about it. I don't like that. Whoa.
Trespassers!
Got something in my eyeball.
Flesh is a weakness we must shed.
Anywho. Alright, we can add Battlesmith, we can add Vanguard Lookout. Game does not appear to be just immediately over, so that's a perk.
Beaten down.
Eyes peeled.
Down to 2 cards. I thought we were just done for. Ooh, and another on guard. So we can survive the next turn. That could be huge.
Ingenious.
Okay. Challenger. Okay, epics. I wonder what it feels like to have an epic in your deck. So it's round 1, Grand Plaza, round 2, the Grand Plaza, round 3, Feel the Rush, round 4. That thing. At least this one isn't as brutal as the other ones. We're not just dead here. Okay. Get behind this combat actually happening. He can't kill our good unit. We can still threaten Victor next turn. Cythria, that's interesting.
Victory lies ahead. Yes, of course.
Okay, that at least lines up nicely with Cythria.
Ready for deployment.
Add this, we can add Cythria, we can on guard. See what kind of shenanigans we can pull on his board. That's scary. That's scary. Just going True Shot Barrage to face. Oh, it's just for a 1 point to face. Okay.
No.
Does that actually change anything? No.
Been a long path to get here.
Oh man, this thing has augment. I forgot about that. That did change things. Just gonna lose all our units here. Damn, that sucks. That was a good True Shot Barrage.
Don't hold back!
Oh man, so close. We were so close to turning the corner there. Oh, that True Shot Barrage. If we just had like one unit, one of those units could have survived without like any removal spell. Man, I don't think we have a fast removal. We don't. Don't open? Don't open? Alright. Clever. Anyways. I wonder what it feels like to have an epic in your deck. That's been my main complaint with where they're adding these landmarks to everything. It's this a shield bearer for the double bird is a fantastic trade for us. Having 3 battlesmiths with double bird is huge. But yeah, I mean, I get it to like a degree where, you know, when like Monuments of Power came out, it kind of sucked. If you were an Expedition player, I don't know how much Riot, you know, particularly cares about Expedition players, but you know, it's like the set came out, they released however many, like 40 cards, and then like 10 of them were epic monuments, and it's like you just can't, you know, reasonably get to play with those in Expedition. Which is, you know, kind of the nature of the beast. But, you know, kind of the fix to that is, you know, they've added in these, like the Thresh Garen pool is the one we see all the time now that has the Grand Plaza in it. And it's just like, it's not, it doesn't lead to like a lot of fun gameplay. Like, the epics, you know, they should be extremely rare when you see them. Like, I still feel in the camp that you should see between like 0 and 1 epics in your Expedition trials, and just kind of like not the way the numbers fall these days. Here, I'm gonna add the Defender for the point of health. He probably never blocks this anyways, and then he shouldn't have any cards that can interact with it. So we should be able to get a point of damage in here when he plays Zed. And we're just gonna have to try to like deal with the next turn and have some good Silverwing Vanguards after that. But no, it's like these games where it's like, you know, like Grand Plaza, Field of Rush, whatever the other KDA epic is. It's just, you know, if I play against it like once in a trial and it's just like, oh, whatever, you know, I just lost because my opponent played Field of Rush, then fine. But just the raw power that lives in those cards makes it kind of unfortunate the amount that you have to play against them. Here, this is going to suck. We're going to take a big elusive hit, but this is going to be humongous if we can actually survive, or if we can actually hit on this Bannerman. Kill this guy's board next turn, but let's see, so we'll Bannerman and then On Guard. Hopefully we can do some surviving. Oh, we hit. We hit. There's a good chance he just doesn't add anything here, though. It's the sad thing for us. Like, if he just plays nothing and adds a Green Glade Duo after combat, there's a good chance we just die on his turn. But you know, we found some answers. He's playing cards.
But look at me now. to our standard. One way to test him out.
Alright, let's see if we get the 5 for 1 here. I don't know what more we could ask for. That's the power of On Guard in these decks. He saves 1 Green Glade Duo. It's probably enough to win the game.
No.
Can you still rise?
Alright, because we'll dot to... if it just plays like Blade Scout. Probably enough to kill us. Blade Scout plus unit. Pretty good. Looks like he's digging. I want to add Garen here just in the event that he tries to attack with these other units, that we can get this tick up on him. And so where that at least leaves us is if we do somehow manage to survive this turn and it comes up into his next turn, then he shouldn't be able to open attack on us because we'll have the... Well, no, I'm just saying he has to open attack on us because we'll have the Garen token. Really need one of those Sun Forger things. One of those, whatever these gain 5 health things are. Okay. You are not it. Right, well, let's give it a go. I want to send our bigger unit into this.
Form up!
Charge!
I don't think I like super care about these. Kind of want to keep. Well, there's probably no reason to just keep a unit, right? If it comes down to him having an elusive that we want to hook, we've just lost the game anyways.
Into darkness.
I guess like the other thing we could have like considered here was killing. Oh, the elusive guy's not elite anymore. They took it away. I was gonna say we could have considered killing our own unit so that we could try to hit the elusive elite, but the 2/3 tough elusive for 4, but he doesn't. He's not an elite. Okay. Okay. He's got a unit in his hand. He jeweled protected something. It showed the animation. Not an elite, or not an elusive, not an elusive. One-time dealer. Fuck.
The wrong row?
Oh, and that's what he just drew. He just top decked it. Okay.
Let them see
Oh, and he
me,
had Fey
not
Guide, so it was
you.
done for anyway. Sorry.
Discipline and steel.
See if he attacks with everything.
Closing in on the
Be a
mark.
huge mistake to attack with everything. Alright, this one's done. So you can, in these Garen decks, you can judge him to weigh his board on those units you aren't blocking, but
Defeated, but
Okay.
never broken.
well. It's a little unfortunate. It was, as you know, low rolly as a trial could ever go. So it kind of is what it is. You know, those throughout the draft, I mean, there were some spots that we could have done things differently. I was really not expecting the draft portion of this, at least the early part of the draft, to be such a shit show. You know, like starting out with Demacia Elite, or Demacian Steel Garen, and then immediately picking a pack with a Battlesmith, and then having this pick 4 with no, just actual no Demacia cards in it, and just being like, fine, whatever, let's continue. Then getting a pick 5 that has another Battlesmith Elite in it, perfect. And then pick 6 just having no Demacia cards again. Like that was like such a shit show of an early round. Like we could have done it differently. We could have just been like, well, we're not going to try to go for elites. We're not going to try. We're just going to look to either just be this dragon deck or be an invoke deck. But it's like when you have, the just like actual like build around cards that go to the pool between Garen and Battlesmith, and then for things to just go so weird, just to like not even see Demacia cards. Like even if it was like Demacia cards that were like dragon pools, and we're taking just actual anything from there, like an on guard and a challenger dragon, then fine. But I mean, this was just like extremely brutal, the way that these packs fell. And I mean, I don't know if that's a function of taking Aurelion Soul first, so those cards show up more frequently, or what the deal is here. But that was just ultimately so strange that we have 3 elites in our deck, the big core of the elites deck here, and then just like actual no Demacia in the follow-up pack. It's a real struggle, especially considering that we were in if we were in the other Aurelion Soul that pairs up with Trundle and it's like showing us Freylord cards, then fine. But it was like one of these packs was like had like Piltover cards in it, and so that was kind of savage. I think we were really starting to salvage the run there at the end, and I am actually pretty happy with how this turned out, because all things aside, with win number 1 against the Grand Plaza, win number 2 against the Grand Plaza, win number 3 we beat Feel the Rush, number 4 we were pretty close to beating Give It All, just a touch short right at the end, and we could have played maybe a little bit differently in the last one. It's kind of whatever. We were definitely in it against elusives, but this deck is generally pretty weak against elusives. That was kind of one of the big matchups, and just like foundations only was elites against elusives, and our deck is not really built to be able to beat elusives. We don't have any of the 4-cost tough guy, which I'm 100% happy with and glad we don't have. But then we just don't have any single combats, or we don't have any concerted strikes or detains or sunbursts. Any amount of removal spells we just don't have. And excuse me, in our early gameplays like Fleet Feather Tracker, just have one of, and so that one was fine. We survived everything they threw at us as far as the horrific card choices go. We survived all the epics they threw at us, and then it just wasn't enough in the end. I'm okay with that. I think this was still a pretty successful trial, even though we stopped at 3 wins. And so, yeah, I mean, this was a weird one. I still stand by a lot of what happened here. We started out with Aurelion Soul. With this, you do have a lot of options as far as this goes and what you can do with it, whether or not you're doing invokes or doing dragons, or just trying to play towards Zenith Blade, and then maybe your deck is just, a handful of Zenith Blades and Aurelion Soul, which is what we actually tried to do here. We did take the Demacia pack second. This is how, if you do want to build dragons with Aurelion Soul, you have to have Demacia so that you can get the other half of the dragons. It's not even like the expensive dragons you care about. Challenger Dragon is extremely good, but it's mainly about hitting the 2-drops, the 3/2 Behold Challenger and the 1/3 that generates dragons. And so, I was happy with this kind of decision making here. And then, we were really open in coming into pick 3 as to what we wanted to do with this. We had the Battlesmith show up, which is a huge build around for Garen. And then, still standing by this pick. I think it was great. And then things just went to shit from there. And so, there is a lot that could have perhaps been done differently as far as the draft goes. It's just a pivoting to kind of a dirtily Aurelion Soul deck, as opposed to just going all in on these elites. But I still think this was a pretty good idea, that we just caught a real low roll in the deck building position. But nonetheless, if you are looking to build an elites deck, the typical general strategy we talk about when we do elites is you're a Vanguard Bannerman deck. So you're going to be an allegiance deck. You don't really want more than 6 or 7 cards out of your off faction, and so we typically just want like 4 or 5, and so kind of the way you get there is out of your opening pack or whatever your off pack is, that's going to be 3 cards, and you can typically take like 1 pick somewhere else. And so, say we had Garen and we took like a Callista second, then we just kind of have these random Callista cards. Maybe we'll take a pack at some point that has a Vengeance in it, and then otherwise we aren't taking anything from that off faction unless it is like a high-powered epic. And so I was actually pretty happy with the idea that we had here, that we were going to be pivoting into elites. We were going to try to pick up a handful of Zenith Blades and then trade away anything else that wasn't a Demacia card. It seemed like there was a potential for a lot of power there. And I am actually really happy with how these Zenith Blades panned out throughout the entirety of the run. But to stop getting away from the point, the big thing that you're looking to do here with this Elites deck is you want to take all of the Vanguard Bannermen. This is your big payoff card. This is kind of your tier 1 card. Then your kind of tier 1.5 cards will be Battlesmith and Reinforcements. I got to scroll down to find those. Those are an expensive one. And so that's what you're mainly looking for here. And then so what the kind of like next points I recommend with these Elite decks is I don't really like stacking Garens. I don't think he's a particularly good champion. He's certainly not bad, but there's just so many expensive 5-cost cards in Demacia here. That there's just not like a huge difference between having Vanguard Cavalry, Swiftwing Lancer, Garen. We'll ignore Fused Firebrand for the moment. But then even things like Challenger Dragon or Radiant Guardian, the one that if it sees a unit die, it gets lifesteal tough. Like there's not a humongous difference between all of the 5-drops, and so we don't really need to go out of our way to draft the Garens. We'd rather have, within Demacia is the big thing, so that it doesn't affect our Bannermen. But we'd rather have Fioras or Lucians, Quins, whatever, something that gives us either a cheaper unit or some kind of interaction, as opposed to just a big pile of stats. And so, yeah, that's kind of our general elite strategy. Tier 1 is Vanguard Bannerman. Tier 1.5 or Tier 2 is Battlesmith Reinforcements, and then just below that, find whatever removal you can and be mindful of your curve. It is super easy for these decks to get overstacked on things like Vanguard First Blades and heavy infantries that, you kind of need to go out of your way to be picking these Vanguard Defenders just to make sure that you aren't stuck with, 4 5-drops in your hand. But yeah, other than that, it's pretty straightforward. Mind your curve, take some single combats, maybe get a non-guard, and hit your allegiance on all those Vanguard Bannermen. But that is going to do it for this trial. Looks like the rewards thing is flashing at us, so looks like I think we're about to close out on these rewards. We got the Shadow Isles icon. Was that it? We just got some icons to go. Targon's still at 25. There should be actual capsules and things here. Let's switch on to Targon. But yeah, that is gonna do it for us today. I hope you all enjoyed the run, learned how to navigate drafts that are not cooperating with what you're trying to do. You learned a little something along the way and had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.